done. So I think what you're looking at here is composition, and how the shadow adds to the photograph, what it's really doing for the viewer, as opposed to trying to figure out how the person took the picture in camera settings. So let's look at that while we're looking. All right, so let me go to share screen.
So Adrian, can you hear me?
Yes.
How do you pronounce that word?
Does somebody else want to
Somebody tell me how to pronounce it.
I think it's chiaroscuro.
with a K sound?
I think.
Sounds good.
I've been
Trying to
struggling.
find an Italian. An Italian would know.
Yeah.
The Rembrandt look.
Okay, so let me get this to full screen. Nope. This should. What are you guys seeing a full screen, or it just looks like my?
It's getting
Looks like the desktop.
Here we go. How's
There
that?
you go.
That's a full
Much
screen.
better.
Okay. All right. Because I couldn't, for some reason, it would not change to a PDF. So I have my fingers crossed that this is going to stay stable. Okay, so as I just said, I divided it into 2 sections. First section is going to be just about shadows in general. And just some things to remember. I went back to the handouts and to the notes. These are the kinds of things that you're looking for when we're looking to review these images, that the shadows are adding depth or contour or texture, or being used to direct the viewer's eyes. So it's not instead of, it can be multiple things that the shadow is affording, or the shadow can be the subject of the image. And we have a few like that, but mostly it's the top bunch. The shadow can be black and white, or it can be color. And what we're looking at is, what is the shadow adding to the composition for the purposes of our discussion today, and whether it's adding something to the design. So, okay, so everybody's mic is on, so we can have comments. Please try to listen when you're talking. Oops, sorry. Listen so that you see if not talking over each other. Okay, Sam actually raised his hand.
Yes, I did.
Very good.
Well, but nobody paid attention.
I did right now. What do you have to say?
Well, I basically wanted to talk about the so-called image sizing, and there are various ways to address this, especially if you take an iPhone or other phone.
Can you do me a
image.
favor though, Sam? Let's leave that till the very end, because I think some people are on time constraints. And
Fair
Anne
enough.
basically was talking about what she needed. Okay, so I'll come back. I'm making
done.
myself a note. Just come back to Sam at the end. That way, if anybody has to leave early, they don't miss content from this.
The shadow here is used very effectively to fill up the middle ground that would essentially be where your eye would look, to lead you from the chair on the left to the building on the right. Very effective use of a shadow here. In other words, what would have been otherwise essentially 2 separate pictures.
It's almost like an arrow.
Mhm.
Yes, it's just leading you across.
Right.
Very nicely done.
Any other comments? I also love what it's doing for the dimensionality in the sand. So,
Agreed.
you know, it's just not a flat look that you really see. So it's the directionality that the chair's long, thin image is doing, plus all of that extra stuff in the sand.
It almost adds a 3-dimensional look to the chair.
The whiteness of the chair gives that out.
Yeah.
How bright it is and how it attracts your eye, but the shadow then allows you to go to the darker white and red building in the background.
Yeah.
And I love that house in the building and in the background with the red roof.
Yes.
It's so perfect. It's
Right.
the only other thing in this photograph that takes your eye, and it's just perfect.
Okay, Miriam raised her hand.
Okay, I like the directionality of the clouds, which in some ways are shadowed. They're coming down from left to right, downward toward the house. And I love that you see the texture in the sand. So like Adrian said, that it wasn't flat. And actually, there looks like there's shadowing in the sand in the front of the chair.
Yeah, it's beautiful image.
It is.
Okay. Anybody else have a hand raised? It's fairly hard. I only see like 5 people, so I have to try to keep my attuned to what's going on over there. Okay, next. I did indicate which ones were shot with phones versus cameras versus traditional cameras, but I don't know that it matters at all. Okay, comments? I'm very distracted by the white part having all those wrinkles. So although I really like the shadow, all the wrinkles ruined it for me.
Right, it would have been good if the white was ironed.
Yeah.
My wife wasn't gonna do that. I put it down. Basically what it is a photograph trying to show the eclipse of the sun on top of our driveway. And it was simply a grab shot of people holding a dish with holes in it, reflecting a little bit of the eclipse. I absolutely agree. I should have taken out the wrinkles, but that's too much work.
It's cool. Any other comments?
Adrian,
Yeah.
if you would move the picture so that the dish goes up instead of down, how would that look?
Oops,
Upside
sorry.
down. Mhm.
Why did it do that?
I'm back.
Uh-oh. Oh, this is what I was afraid of.
Yeah, we'll see
I
what happens.
withdraw the question.
This isn't worth the effort.
Hold on, let me just get back to the
Oh.
thing again.
Carl,
Yes.
if you wanted to get rid of all the creases, if you selected out the shadow in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements and inversed your selection and then did another layer that was just white and you use what's called a clipping mask to connect the 2 areas. That way it will only affect the selected area. You can easily get rid of the white the way it was.
That's a very interesting way of doing it. It's not one I would have thought of. I thank you. I would have tried something really easy, which was grab the Lightroom slider for white and for highlights and move them all the way to the right and see if I lost all the garbage
Okay,
without giving anything else up.
right, okay. No,
But
but
your
I-
method is, obviously, if my method didn't work, your method would, but interesting enough, that's actually past my ability.
Well, if you need help, you can call me. I'll walk you through
I
it.
know that. I appreciate that too, because there have been places where I certainly do.
Okay,
All
and
right,
vice versa.
I'm going to not put this on a share. I mean, I'm not going to put it on a full screen. I'm afraid that that's what did that.
Okay,
So,
it's big
we'll-
enough.
yeah, I'm sorry, but we'll have
But
to
you
live
know,
with
you can
that.
just make the corner, if you drag the corner down a little bit, it'll make it a tad bigger. Just a
Yeah,
little, a
that-
tad
that-
bigger.
That's good too.
That's good.
Okay,
And don't do
All right.
any more, otherwise
Okay.
you'll be in deep water.
okay.
Here and I'm where the pasta is. It looks like a colander with all the holes in the water.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was,
Me too.
colander.
It looks like a colander. But
I
the,
think it was. I'd have to ask my wife.
but the shadow is definitely the subject.
Okay, so this
As
is,
far as the request,
And this one is
in
the
this
chair.
mode, you
bench.
could rotate the image to see if the center portion will move upward.
it's not letting me do anything. I'm going to close the PowerPoint and open it again.
Okay.
Adrian, you can't rotate it?
I can't do anything. It was frozen. Sorry.
Oh,
Let's try again.
Not like Irene where you're fixing the pictures and manipulating them on the screen.
Well, I should be able to because when I created them, okay, am I still on a screen share or not?
No,
Well,
you're in
you know,
gallery view.
David,
Irene uses Picasa.
Well, let's try this again.
interesting. That's an old program,
I know, but it works a lot.
apparently.
And I used to resize my stuff in Picasa until this photography show.
It's interesting that if Google had put out, kept Picasa going, and if Snapseed was a computer program, it would be real interesting to work with.
It
But
sure
they
would.
don't seem to care about that.
What do you guys see now?
We see the
Yeah.
I
space.
see you dragging
Cover
the screen
page.
across.
Okay,
Okay,
There you go.
now we're down to the
okay, so
Okay.
I'm not gonna try,
next one is the bench, the white
have-
bench.
I have no idea what's going on, so I'm not gonna try to rotate it. I'll
You
just
know-
click on the images. Okay,
Nice shadow.
yeah, it's a beautiful shadow.
I
Yeah.
love the pattern of that shadow. It's so
Yeah.
crisp too. It's great.
And it's a big shadow because it's an early part of the day.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
my-
It's
yeah.
the line, the curves, it's got a nice diagonal look to it.
It's an abstract of its own,
Yep.
Yeah.
because you could take away the rest of it and just leave it as an abstract.
Yep.
And nobody would know what it is.
I agree with Miriam on that. The main part of the image is in the chair and is in the shadow. It's not necessarily in the background. It's certainly not in the fountain up in the other upper right.
Right.
The image is the chair and its shadows.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it is nice.
Okay. Comments?
Well, just nice dappled light
Yeah,
coming through the trees, and it just kind of looks like a nice. The shadows make it look like a nice place to rest and relax and
right,
whatever.
soothing.
This is one that sets the texture to the kayaks.
It looks like a watercolor, like a paint by number.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that the shadowing, like what, it adds that dimension that we were talking about, that they don't just like look like flat objects, that you can actually see into the inside, like on this one. And it just, they're more soft and rounded looking the way they would look in real life.
what is that? What is that object?
These are kayaks on their sides.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's a rack of plastic kayaks, I guess, that you
Oh,
can
okay.
borrow or rent or whatever in whatever
Okay.
location this is.
Adrian, how would you feel if instead of having this shot dead on and showing whatever's in the background, that the concentration was placed on those 3 blue kayaks, right? And you work it as an image going from where your arrow is across to the left, and that's the image in there with the dappled part of the shadow showing. So
I
it
think,
becomes almost an abstract.
yeah, it's like the one with the bench, that these are pictures within
Exactly.
pictures.
Yep.
If you took that and cropped it square and took out the background, but I
Yes.
kind of like the little sense of the green with the blue, only because I like the breakup of the pattern. I wouldn't want to just see the 3 blues. I like the green because it breaks up the pattern of color. But I do agree, if you took out the top and cropped it down and maybe even brought in a little more of the shadow in front, if it's there. I don't know if it's there in the
Here we go, guys.
Mhm.
Oh, look at that.
That's better.
Yeah.
You lose the direction of the opening in the trees,
Yeah.
though, which is really very beautiful.
Yeah, I like the curved opening.
Making it square.
It's different. It's nothing wrong with that first picture, but it's just a picture inside of a picture.
Yep.
For the purposes of what we were doing with shadows, that kind of emphasizes a little bit. I love the original because I like the background that I
Yeah.
like. behind it. Opening in the tunnel, going back, very cool.
I don't know how to undo it. Not that it matters, but,
Control
You did a Great
Z,
job. Great
Control
job.
Z.
oh, here we go. Undo crop.
Didn't bring it back.
Just, can you do Control Z?
I don't know. This is a PowerPoint and I'm afraid to do anything else to it. I just wanted to see if I could.
Well, when you
bring the
close up
arrow
the-
There it
Okay.
is. There it is. I just had to go back a few more times.
Mhm.
and when you exit out of it, if you don't say save, it'll be what it was before.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't care about that because I just delete them, but I just wanted to go back to,
Okay.
here we go.
No, I think the water and the trees enhance the picture.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
pretty.
it as it is.
Adrian,
gives-
can you move in the right side towards the left and move it so that that object onto the right of the water is gone?
An object to the right of
What-
water,
what-
this tree
whatever-
you talking
yeah,
about?
right. Yeah, I want to get rid of that for a minute.
Whoops, wait, hold on. I have to go back and click on crop. Crop. Like that, you're talking about?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
It just becomes a very skinny picture.
It's the-
Yeah, you're missing the green kayaks.
I think it looks unbalanced.
It does, and you miss.
Miriam Scott works the best on this.
You could clone out the tree if you wanted to.
It's not balanced at all. It's not balanced.
No, I agree.
There you go.
Better that way.
I think what's disturbing you is this like dark, I mean, to me, this darkish brown area, which you could
Exactly.
certainly clone out, leave the tree, but just whatever dark part that is, make it look like the sand.
Yeah, you can do that.
But it's giving tips.
You can
Okay.
recolor it.
Yeah, let's
Or-
go.
Okay, next. Oh, that's nice.
There are a few you'll see of people taking a picture of their own shadow, which is always a cool thing.
That's something Dave would do.
Uh-huh.
Did.
It's very effective.
I've
you know,
done that.
This is the kind of thing that you take with your phone because your phone is with you when you sort of notice that it's happening.
Right.
I didn't think anybody else would have an older phone as I do. Not
Yeah.
their iPhone 6.
I think what's nice about this shot is it kind of tells a story. It's someone's taking a picture of a group of people. So I think and the bottom half is almost black and white and the top half is color.
I really like that. And I like the fact that it's on that the person taking the picture's on a diagonal and the other is vertical, which adds a little bit more interest.
Those people are really secondary. It's a shadow that
Oh, yeah.
of
Oh,
interest,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Just for the story, that's all it does is tell the story.
yeah, exactly.
Love the diagonal lines and the vertical, yeah.
Okay.
Really
Oh, that's nice glass.
beautiful what the light does when it goes through glass.
Yeah. It's a very
Good.
special shadow.
That's a gorgeous shadow.
Very pretty.
I like the swirls.
Me too. I love the different curves of the lines running through the glass. They
All like and it starts inside, like right in here and then like emerges over to here. It's like
There's
a
a lot
V.
to see there.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me, the little light speckles on the glass, because those are reflections.
No, that enhances.
Yeah.
I think of it more of as a vase than a glass.
Like
It's
an
a wine
upside-
glass, though.
Like a bud vase.
Uh,
Glass.
It's pretty.
yeah,
And it's nice as a square. I like the crop. I think the crop adds to the image.
lovely. The
Yeah.
soft grayish background with a little
Yeah.
bit of the sense of shadow and texture to it is beautiful.
Nice job.
Very nice.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh. Complex lines and shadows.
Yeah, I just like that there are different lines. It's very graphic, lines
Yeah.
going in different directions. Some are shadows, some are real. It's cool.
The one,
Straight lines are making, somehow the shadow has all kinds of crossing over and, well, I guess the ladder steps. It has a whole different pattern to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like up here, this is different than what's casting the shadow. What's
That-
casting the shadow is here.
That's
Right.
what I saw when I took it, that the shadow is very different from
Right.
the original.
But isn't there
Great
something
job.
hanging on top that gives that the remainder of the shadow? Because it's going downward.
Do you remember, Harvey, what was up
I-
here?
I do not. I do not.
I almost feel that I'm looking at a diptych, two separate pictures.
Yeah.
The one
You're right,
on the left,
you're right.
the one on the
You could
right.
crop each in half vertically and you have two
I'm not
separate.
sure that the picture integrates.
They are two pictures. It looks like it, yes.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yep.
I thought that it's not a solid wall. Maybe it's a cloth like a tent. and
No,
that
it's
the
solid.
bend of The cloth
Solid,
would
it's solid.
make the bend in the lines.
No. Solid wall.
Mhm.
I'm a little disturbed by the fact that there's nothing vertical or horizontal. I mean, what do you guys think? Should something have been chosen to be lined up correctly? Because like these horizontals are not horizontal, you know, they're not a zero, and the verticals are not a zero. Everything's sort of like off kilter.
Mhm.
And you have the two lines on the right, the two angles on the far, far right. I find my eye gets a little disturbed by them because they kind of crop in, disappear, and come back out again.
Yeah,
You're-
good point.
So let's see.
This perspective distortion on this would be interesting to play with in
Yeah.
terms of what goes on with the lines and the verticals or the horizontal.
Right. Oops.
I like that nothing is lined up on that.
Do you?
That's too much. Move
That's
it back.
good.
No, that doesn't work.
No.
But- Well, only, I just would have taken out a hair. I wouldn't have taken a lot out. Come on back.
Edit, undo, crop picture.
I actually think if everything was straight, it'd be boring.
No, I don't think everything should be straight. I'm just wondering if like one thing.
Right, got it.
Yeah, perfect.
I like that better.
I like that. That's what I wanted. The little,
Yeah.
and then I
Okay.
know what would happen if you went for the ladder rungs to straighten them. I don't know. I'd have to play. You'd have to see what it
Yeah.
looks. It has a lot of interesting ways to play with it, but it's nicely done with the weird shadows.
I
And
think the image would become a bit more static if we straightened everything out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you'd have to see. Those are good points. You know, it
I
doesn't
like
always
the
have to be
vision that
straight.
it shows this way.
what goes on in the background with the shadows is almost more like a spider web. I mean, or a hammock. You just see crazy.
Can I
long-
ask for another crop?
This one.
I'd like a little bit off of the left.
It's just nothing to do with it.
Okay. I have to go back for the four
Can you
banding.
do it?
That's a whole different.
Yep.
There's the ladder. And if that's the ladder there.
Then that.
How
Come
much,
into the
Carl?
Come into the vertical, keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, stop.
That's good.
Boring.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for.
Like
Yeah,
it
too
the way
much.
it was.
Yeah.
We lost it.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody has their phone
Study
on.
too much.
Yeah, too much.
Okay.
Would it make sense if it was entitled Sukkah Under Construction?
I like that.
That's a good name for it, yeah.
Sorry, I had to take that phone call.
Or how about chuppah instead of sukkah?
No, it's got to be a sukkah because it looks too tree. It looks like the trees.
Sorry.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, next. Oh.
I think these people are on a bench. I think they're sitting. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell.
Right.
Sort of strange that you don't see very much detail here in the bricks, and then all of a sudden their heads pop off up into the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You see the side of the bench.
On
Like
the
right
left,
over here.
Yes.
What if maybe it would be a better picture without any of the bricks, just the two heads on the grass.
Yeah, or what if you just took away some of the bricks at the bottom?
Yeah, take away some of the bricks at the bottom.
I like that we can do this. It's taking a lot longer, but
No,
this is
great.
sort of fun.
Actually, it'd be better as a horizontal.
Let's leave it as a square and see what that looks
Square.
like.
That's better.
Still too many bricks.
Right. So it should be a 3-to-2 ratio horizontal.
All right, let's see.
Stop.
It's too much off.
That's better.
The lady on the
Better.
right seems to be sitting up straight and you see her knee.
Right here.
On the right.
Yeah.
but you can't figure out what she's leaning back on at all.
Got a nice hat on. I think.
I thought it was a hairdo.
Eh. I think she's leaning towards the other figure, and that's sort of like a very intimate, like you came upon it and it was sort of this intimate two heads together kind of thing, which is
Like she's
nice.
selling something.
That's actually my wife and I, and every time we take a walk, we stop at the main entrance, the gazebo by the main entrance.
That's where I thought it was.
And just look at the sun and the beauty of
So
it.
it's Judy's hat. I know her, it's not her hair, it's her hat.
That's Judy's hat. And my original intention was to show the depth of, that's why I did it the long way, to show the depth of it. But I like this better, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
Very nice.
Okay.
Me also.
You have to save this for reflections, the person who shot this, because the next monthly thing is reflections.
Very cool.
Perfect.
But it does have shadows from.
Oh,
the-
for sure. Yeah.
Shadow, it's got diagonal lines, it's got texture, it's got patterns, it's got reflection. It's loaded.
Yeah. I mean, it's
It's
just, you
also
keep
an
looking,
abstract
there's
of
so
the
much.
dog.
There's a lot to
Three
look
images
at.
of the
A lot
dog,
to look at.
Well, I
images of
like
the
that you
dog.
see the dog from the front, the back, and the side. And
And the side, yeah. It's a great photo.
Yeah.
That's fun.
The only thing I would do is lighten the left side of his face.
Right.
Oh, I don't think so. I like the fact
I-
that there's a shadow there.
So do I.
Absolutely.
Mhm, yes.
Okay.
If it was like, it was
Then
a
put a
snapshot,
catch light in his eye.
there is a catch light in both eyes.
Just lighten the eyes. Lighten the eyes a little bit.
I don't think it needs it.
I think it's good as it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why we're
Overruled.
discussing.
Overruled.
The lighting is very nice. Nice
Yeah.
lighting.
Okay.
Very well.
Dog.
Very cute. Yeah,
Good
it's just
dog,
like,
good.
it almost is like you're just in life and you come upon this stuff, is if your eyeballs are open and you're watching and you're attentive, this is all around us. And I think that's what is so special about focusing on something like shadows. It's just all over, and they do so many different things. If you look back up here in the top of this image, the reflection of this part of the shadows, so interesting.
it was so uncanny that she sat down almost in the middle of the mirror.
Yeah,
Not quite, but almost.
very cool.
Girl. Yeah.
Good
I have a
dog, right.
question.
Yeah.
All directions.
Someone had a question.
But I
It's
entered
Eileen.
Hi,
The
Eileen.
back of the dog that we see in the mirror, is that a reflection or is that, I mean,
No.
what do we call that?
it
That's
is
a reflection.
Reflection.
Oh.
There are two reflections and one real dog.
No, one is a
One
shadow.
reflection, one shadow.
There's still a reflection. of the
Are you
shadow.
able to hear me when I speak?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not sure, because
Yeah.
it's not showing up with a light.
Oh, a yellow thing. It is on mine.
Oh, okay. But I had already entered this one year and it didn't win, so I don't know if I could enter it again or not.
Yes, you can.
Oh.
You can always do that. Very cool. Okay, next.
Lorraine, you can change that you can change and substitute that picture if you'd like, even though I have your entries. That's okay.
Oh,
You're still within the timeline, so if that happens, yeah, I will do that for you. So if you decided.
okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Just have to let me know which one to pull out if you do it and name it. Okay.
This needs to be straightened, I think.
Yeah, that's something I don't think I can do in this. But yeah, the horizon is a little off if you look here.
That's the tree on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to have the side straightened, but this some shadow, but nothing exciting about the shadow. I don't see anything that's really adding anything particularly to the picture. A little bit, but
Thumbs up to Ann. Absolutely agree. It doesn't do anything to help the photograph. It doesn't emphasize anything within the photograph.
right.
It's just a photograph.
It's a, you know, it's a nice landscape look out in the back of the lake, but I don't think the shadow is what we're looking for in this exercise does anything for it. It doesn't hurt it, doesn't help it.
It doesn't add.
Doesn't do it.
Yeah.
The only thing nice in it is the reflections in the lake.
Yep. There are reflections.
Next month.
And it might be, it might have been interesting to like step out there and see if there was anything to photograph here, because the tree, this I'm assuming is a reflection of a palm tree and fronds, and there might have been something there that would have been an interesting photo.
And Adrian, looking at that, I would have left a little more of the tree in on the left side because it's cut so sharply.
Yeah.
Almost looks like the picture really was cropped and part of the end is missing. It doesn't really have a tree look to it. So I would have left more on the left side. So what time did and complemented the shadow of the palm tree.
Right. Yes.
Adrian,
Yes.
as one takes a look at these pictures on any topic, this one being shadows, the question that I would ask quietly is, what's the motivation of the photographer for taking the picture? And having listened to the comments on this one, the motivation of the photographer wasn't on shadows.
Correct.
And so when we look for pictures for landscape and architecture and reflection and nature, we're looking through 20,000 pictures and asking ourselves what looks like what's being asked for, rather than what did we take that describes reflections and shadows and anything else. So I think the motivation of the photographer contributing to something like this, I think he or she should take into account why he took that picture.
All right.
Or she.
Or she. I knew someone would pipe up.
I think what happens when you look at something like this is the person, there is a shadow. The issue is that the shadow is not enhancing the image in some way. It's there, there's a shadow. So by definition, it's a photograph that includes a shadow. But in this case, it doesn't do anything like add dimension, add texture, add anything to the story. So that's the problem. So
excellent. The excellent review that was given last week of shadows, which was very good, pointed out that most pictures have shadows in them. The only question is whether that is part of the ambiance of the picture,
right,
or whether that was the goal of the shooter.
Right.
Adrian, can you pull down from the top and from the right side?
Right.
Pull down from the top and bring it down to the top of the lake, and pull down from the right and bring it to the, you now have a panorama, it's a different picture. But
do you
if
want me, how far in?
More.
More.
But beating a dead
Like
horse.
that, there you've got the shadow as the emphasis. I don't know for perspective if the sizing is right, but you do have your shadow and your reflection.
And does it really matter?
No.
Where do you want your eye to look?
Right.
What's
It's
the
just
emotion you want to take out of this?
right.
Well, now your eye looks at the shadows.
Right, but they're not adding anything or
Right.
No, I agree.
yeah. Okay, look at this one though, and you'll see the difference.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one is the subject.
Yeah, the shadow is the subject, which is
Lovely.
beautiful.
Lovely
This
try.
person took the picture because they wanted to see the bricks.
You think so?
No, he doesn't.
I love the diagonals. I like the triangles. I like the curvature of the lines. I like the detail, the clarity, and the contrast.
Yeah.
Very-
It's a nice shot.
Yeah.
And up here is a little bit of the real thing.
Yes, I
See?
wanted to include a little bit of the real thing. So it would give the sense that the shadow was from something.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fence is all out there to the left. But the shadow itself was beautiful.
Yeah.
But that part is a very important part of the image.
Yeah.
It adds a great deal to it.
Agree.
I like having that little bit there.
Exactly. Up north, we had a lady by the name of Ernie Rubens who would exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum, and she would call something like that Ernie's irritant.
Oh,
And it just works.
it's value added.
Pretty much.
Very nice show. Very nice.
Mm. Interesting.
It's just a beautiful use of window light to create that
Wow.
wash of shadow.
Look at the lines going vertically down, all the lines.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have dimensionality.
What would have been a conventional picture without the shadows and the way the light works just gives it a dynamism that it would not have had before.
Absolutely.
And really draws your attention into it.
Yep, adds a adds a nice diagonal look. It leads right in down to the bottom of that picture where the main focal point is. Lighting is good. The texture's nice. Very pretty. Nice dapple light with diagonal lines. Super.
Yeah. And the fact that it's a little darker down here on the bottom just adds to the whole way that it's presented.
And look at the f-stop, how low it is. You would think, that low of an f-stop, that it would be hard, in terms of sharpness. And it is, it's perfectly sharp.
It's a phone.
Flat stand. Yeah.
Yeah. The phone really does it for this.
Does well with
Beautiful.
flat Stanley pictures like that.
Yeah.
Right up and on the wall.
Beautifully seen, beautifully chose, the composition, what she chose to shoot. It's obviously a wall, but just choosing this segment, I think was just a real nice, real good eye to just choose this segment of it. Not too much, not too little. Very pretty.
Oh, there's our sucker. Could use straightening.
Again, my question is a simple one. Where do you want my eye to look?
Right.
And that's the question I always ask when I'm judging an image. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what emotion do you want me to take from this image?
And for this exercise, is the shadow that's there adding anything?
No.
No.
And the sky's too dark.
Well, it's because it disappears into the back and the shadows need to be brought up way back there a little bit. But I think the shadows, the diagonals that are coming down across the beams do add something to it.
Right here, you're talking about.
Yeah, all those diagonals coming down on those beams. I mean, without those there, that picture would be really, really barren of interest. So it does help.
And what do you feel if whomever took this, had tried a different angle? Not so much even the crop that's being played with now, but a different way of looking up at those beams and looking at the shadows that they create.
I would imagine you could have some fun looking up at that and manipulate.
Yeah. I also tell people, look behind you.
Right.
There might be something there. Turn around.
Yep.
So here's my other thought about that. And we talked about a little bit about it needs straightening. Sometimes things when they're not straight work well, but to me, this is not straight, but not straight enough. So my thinking is, as much as it doesn't need straightening, as much as what Carl said, if you shot it from a different angle and really turned it more and got more of a diagonal, a little bit of a different line of looking at it, I think as much as that would be offset, it would be offset perfectly the way it should be. But it's just a little bit off, but not enough. I would really have to be a little different.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lots of detail on the boardwalk there. Lots of
I think
shadow.
the shadows with the triangles from the fence, or whatever you call it, really make it interesting.
Yeah.
Could people also say where they shot it so we have an idea?
This is, oh, it's Eva's picture. She's not here. I don't know where she shot this.
Yeah, I don't think it's either of our
It's not,
coastal wetlands.
it's not because of the angles on the side of the boardwalk and the way the rails are. That's not, that's almost like a long bridge overpass walkway that's going somewhere, but
Looks like a pier.
yeah, it's not, it's not,
Wakota
Yeah.
No, it's not Wakota-Hatchie.
Right.
struts are on the side of the rails on the right-hand side and the inside. You can see those struts. That's different. Maybe Wellington Preserve. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could have been anywhere,
Yeah, where her kids
anywhere in
live.
the world.
Yeah.
Looks like
True.
it's going across a lake.
Nice fade off.
It's Brighton Beach.
Yeah.
No.
I find the shadow a little bit light.
That was one I was thinking too, but I don't. Let's see
I
what
would
happened.
like the shadow a little darker too.
Uh-huh. Oh, look at that.
Well, I didn't know PowerPoint had all that going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, wow.
Too dark.
But then it makes the whole
little too
thing
dark.
Yeah,
darker.
you need to really work on it. It's not, it's not an editor, so
Right.
it was like washed out to me. It almost needs contrast, but I don't think I can do that. So,
Not in PowerPoint.
yeah.
But I know, to me, the shadow is not the subject of the picture. To me, the shadow enhances. I know it's a big part of the picture, but it's that angle that going towards the trees that it just draws your eye right to that person in red who's really small. And it just, to me, it's like a secondary feature to this. So I think all the leading lines are fabulous.
Yeah, they are. Boardwalk.
But David, where do they lead you to?
I'm sorry.
What does
Look at
it
the
matter where
perspective.
you're being led to? You're being led in the distance. You pointed out correctly that the red figure is way too small. And what makes that then the center of the interest? where-
Actually, for me, it's just pointing to what I think is an island.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better.
I thought the red would pop out more, but it doesn't really do that
Doesn't,
much.
yeah.
I see it the other way. I see it taking out the sky and taking out the right side.
It's like a black tunnel at the end of that.
I thought about that also, as going into the shadow area only, but still didn't feel it would make that much of a difference. But let's take a look.
Okay, so let me undo this crop.
Move some sky. Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
you
take
want me
off
to
the
remove some
red.
sky?
Yeah. Bring it halfway down again. Keep coming. Well into the boardwalk, well into the boardwalk. More.
Take
I don't
out
want
the
to see any
sky.
sky.
You don't want
I
to see any more sky?
almost into
I
the
want to see
abstract.
the sky. And take into.
Ira, I would have gone a little further.
Okay,
Yeah, I agree. No sky.
no sky.
Yeah.
No sky.
sky. Right,
Take it from the right side.
And then take in the right side?
That's correct.
We've already used an hour of our time. I think we have a lot of pictures left.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that does anything for me.
No, I
Yeah.
don't either.
No,
The
not
shadow.
not at all.
Nothing for me.
Okay, next.
I know.
What do people think about this?
I think the sun is distracting.
Yes, I agree. This is blinding to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all where my eye goes to, straight to that.
Right.
white wall.
That's what you see
That
right
could
away.
be, patched out.
Yeah, so you would have to close, but then you have the starburst as well, which is going way up into here. So if you just patched out the sun, then the
Wouldn't work.
starburst would look weird.
Yep.
So it's almost like maybe the whole top of the picture is not important. I'm gonna just try something, and then we can't keep doing this. It's a lot of fun, but this is what happens when I go to Art Silverglate's things.
Yep.
You get tushy fatigue.
Especially because you run some late. I'm
Yeah.
really-
Is that like Zoom fatigue?
Yeah.
Especially when it's your fourth Zoom of the day.
Yeah.
And one more to go.
I like that, Adrian.
I mean, it's more about the shadow then, and less about that sunburst.
The person should have gone behind the two trees and taken the shadow from there.
This
the
way.
sun behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people need to remember about walking around and looking at everything that's in the environment. This also looks like there's some cool shadows over here that might be nice to explore.
Make beautiful shadows.
Yeah.
Next.
This is a lot more subtle because here what the shadow is doing for me is bringing dimension. And in here, it's making the picture more three-dimensional.
That was my aim, correct? Yes.
Yeah, but it's not about the shadows. It is about the flower,
Right.
which
Yes,
is
it
really
is.
nicely done.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Shadows don't hurt it, but the flower itself is beautiful.
But if without the shadow, it would have been flatter.
It has
It would have been
dimensionality.
very flat, yes.
Yeah.
Right, it would be flat.
Right. I
Right.
mean, even in here, there's a very subtle shadow that's adding curvature to this petal, which I think is really nice.
Yes.
Carl, Anne did not see what we see in that picture. Remember?
Yes.
I saw,
No, you didn't. What did you see, Anne? What?
I told you what I saw was tonsils. I saw.
Wait,
I
look,
see the
look
crack.
up.
I see a face.
I see a face.
I see
Yes,
a
we do.
heart at the
Above,
top,
Adrian,
like a
above the face.
royal heart.
Above the
Look
head.
at the
Yes,
top.
stop.
Right there.
Stop. Does anyone see a face?
It's
A
a
crown
fox
on
head.
top of the head,
It's
ears,
hard to see on the
a-
smallest screen.
a V-neck, top. Do you see a woman? in there?
Eyelashes too.
Oh, yeah, I see
With
it.
Do you
eyelashes.
see it,
I
Eileen?
see the eyelashes.
Mm.
It's a fox head. It's a
That's
feminine,
funny.
very
That's exactly
feminine.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
very
There's a
feminine.
woman. in there.
Tiger.
But I think this is a good example of that, of shadow adding to.
The Georgia O'Keeffe.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Oh.
That is
Wow.
Wow.
That's been altered with the filters.
Right.
With the
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Quite.
coordinate.
distort, yeah.
What was it originally?
It's almost a Venn diagram type of setup.
Yeah. But the shadow is definitely adding to the texture. If there was no shadow, it would just be like pen and ink drawing.
very
What was the original though?
The original actually is a shadow on the pebbles in the back of Mylan Eye.
Wow.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very-
Oh,
I see the pebbles.
That's great. And look at the
Very
little
nice.
green part. I like that.
Yeah.
Read.
And I like that it's a square.
Yep.
Very pretty.
well with the circular pattern, the
Yep.
square look always
Really nice.
very pretty.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's
are
fall.
those shadows
Is
or
that
are
no
those?
shadow?
I'm
Yep.
seeing light through little tiny holes in a cylinder, but I'm not seeing shadows.
Yeah.
Well, all of this darker brown is the shadow.
Shadow.
It's
What
a
is
pipe.
it?
It's a pipe in a playground. And
Oh, nice.
the light is coming through the structure, which is over here, onto the pipe that's holding the playground together.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Ah,
It took a little, I took a little seeing. to figure it out. Yeah.
So it's abasically an abstract created
Yeah.
by a shadow.
Where it's
That's
coming
what I
from.
was gonna call it.
Just not seeing where it's coming from, but it's interesting. Yeah.
It just creates a graphic pattern, but it is cool.
Yeah, there was a whole series of them. Some of them had more pipes in them, but we went to Delray once to do shadows as a trip,
Yes.
and that came from that shoot. I like
great.
this.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
And the photographer's leg got caught in the
Yeah.
image.
I like
Oh, yeah,
that.
I was holding the camera with one hand
And
and riding my bike with the other.
Nice
Great.
motion in the background with the blur. Yeah, looks good.
I like the movement.
yeah, the motion
Oh,
blur.
Great.
Very cool.
Yeah, very intentional
Pretty-
photograph of
Absolutely.
a shadow.
The whole
you know?
series on this.
Yeah.
The
It's
shadow and movement.
Yeah.
Really
Nice
hard
job.
to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I know whose picture that is.
it's so pretty.
Well, this was not intended to be about the shadow. It was just to be about the subtleties of shadow in the textures.
It's beautiful.
Very
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
soft shades of lighting. Very nice. Yeah.
One interesting thing that I might consider with this is going into the center part of this and eliminating any part that has white in it and just making an abstract of the center petals.
That's cool.
Like right in here.
Picture as it sits, there's so much in it.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd like that.
Just gorgeous.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I would say that this is similar to the thought we had about the landscape with the bird cage.
Right.
There is shadow. I also am disturbed because the wall needs to be straightened out a little bit, but there is shadow, but I don't know that the shadow really impacts the picture in a way that enhances the picture at all.
Agree. And again, if the person had walked over here, look at the shadow that's being created by this.
Correct. Stepped away and gotten it from behind. Yeah, I see it.
Right. It would have been cool.
Yeah, that's where it is. It's right there.
Yeah. So it's a step and turn to the right and
Yep.
and shoot that, because the shadow's definitely adding to the texture of the concrete. And then that design would have been interesting to see.
It would have worked.
This one's gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful.
I have no idea what that is, but that is gorgeous.
Like picture frames. Stairs.
No clue.
I'm guessing. I'm just trying to.
Paul, are you still here?
Yeah, I shot that at Meisner Museum. It was stairs. There are stairs there that cause the reflection, but this is a cropped piece of it.
Love it.
It's
Right.
so cool. The
The
blue
colors
is
are
perfect. The black over here is perfect. It's just so interesting.
Great geometry. Great, great contrast. It's really good. Really nice. Love the lines. Love the diagonals.
And just so you guys know, I added, when you put these pictures on a black background, I added this white frame, but it's the only frame they had to choose from that would work. People need to know that if they're sending pictures in that have a lot of black, you need to put a strike, some kind of a thin line there. Maybe a blue one would have looked nice on this, or red, but just another thing to think about when you're sending images for a review. But I just thought this was so striking, and the shadow on all these surfaces just makes it so three-dimensional.
Yep.
Loving it.
I wonder how that would look. in
Select it and
complete
put a
black and white.
10-point stroke,
Yeah, which is easy to do.
pixel stroke, I mean, 10 pixels.
Ira, you said something?
Yeah, I wonder how that would look in a black and white. I mean, the blue is very attractive, but I think that the contrast might look nice in a black and white.
Probably go to gray. That's where I'm guessing the background will turn into a.
I think it might take away from those silver, whatever they are.
Here you go. Oops, I didn't expect
Oh,
that.
that's
I
interesting.
just thought it was gonna do, you
I like-
can't see
I
what
like
they are.
Adrian, hold that. I want to submit that to the.
The creative, right?
It was great. It was cute.
I liked it.
doesn't tell you what they are. Crackly. I thought one of them would just be plain black and white. There's some interesting ones here. Look at this. Sort of weird.
That's add a little bit of
Interesting.
context to that. That'd
I
be
like
nice.
the original better.
Yes, I love the original. It's just-
The blue is important, I think.
yeah,
Beautiful.
I agree.
I don't know.
Nice job.
Cool.
Simple.
Yeah,
I think the patterns on from the shadows are really interesting.
they are.
Lots of circles.
Chairs and
Chairs are nice.
changes, lovely.
I have a question about the metering. What would the shadows change if you did evaluative metering over partial?
No, it would change the, it theoretically would exchange the exposure. You'd have to try.
Okay.
I like the color is beautiful.
Yeah,
Nice.
just a little texture from the bricks on the ground with some added diagonals from the bricks and patterns.
Mhm.
Very nice.
Nice job. And here's one just for fun.
Great.
I think we just saw that.
Great.
That's a lot of fun.
Okay, let's do the Chiaroscuro before we run out of time.
Right.
So a couple of people did those. So this is where you're using light from coming from one direction to illuminate part of an image, and then the rest of the image is darker, and it's a more of a moody kind of a look to it. You could do it with artificial or natural light.
Candles too.
That's
Candles.
That's beautiful.
Oh, it's a hot air balloon.
Yeah, this was an old picture of mine.
Right.
So where was it?
In Wellington, they used to fire the hot air balloons up there.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, on the
Okay.
polo grounds.
Yeah.
I miss
They'll
seeing
do,
that.
they'll
up
do
north.
it again when we get back to real life.
We live long enough.
Yeah.
Hopefully within another year. Hopefully.
It just seems you keep on moving into the future.
Right. But you know, it does that's the Chiaroscuro, the directional light. It's a little
Yeah,
too
yeah.
glary over here, but
Yes, it
I didn't
is.
have time to
It is.
fix it.
But I love how it highlights the group around
Yeah.
the bottom. It's great.
The fire.
And this one, I didn't know where to put it. So I put it here because the light is coming from one side and creating the shadows. I don't know if it's classically Chiaroscuro.
The shadow of his hand is
Yeah.
from
The one thing, Barbara, is there's this really tiny line right coming out of the top of his head from whatever, I don't know what it's from, but if you're going to use it for something, you need to figure out how to get rid of that.
You could make the light fall off a little more if you took a gradient filter and brought it from the left side across and just toned down that and just deepened the shadow a little on the left side to make it, you could do it with a gradient filter, just coming across the other way.
Like a diagonal, like this
And,
way.
and you have to fix his shirt above his wrist because it looks like he's got an extra finger
Oh, really? I don't see that, but
by the wrist, by the edge of his wrist, on the outside edge of his wrist on the left, that goes up.
you're
to his
talking
shirt
about this
collar.
shadow here.
Yeah, it's a shirt collar.
I guess I'm looking at it closer. I don't see that.
Maybe lighten it, maybe.
I still like it, Barbara.
Yeah,
thought
it's,
the
I love it.
shadow-
Thank you.
The focus of the shadow for me is his face.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that side lighting, and you see how intense he is looking at the drum in kind of in shadow. And I think the face is lit beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The lighting is perfect.
Try that gradient filter from the right side coming across, just a little bit to let the light fall off a little bit more on it, to get the impact that Adrian was talking about. Just try it and see what happens. From right side coming across,
Over this way.
vertical.
Okay. Thank you.
That's
I
that's
love that photo.
typical. Beautiful.
That's
Interesting,
mine.
really interesting.
I didn't like the way the right side of his face was overexposed.
Like right in here.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that they said when I read about doing this is to try not to use anything that has like a shininess to it. So this is like a metal, I'm assuming it's like a metal sculpture.
Yeah, it is.
And so that makes the brightness like, it's like almost like reflective. So you have to be a lot more careful with the kind of light that you use.
It was poor choice of subject.
Yeah.
Interesting subject though, Miriam.
Kind of creepy. There's like this disembodied arm.
Very interesting, isn't it? It really is.
We went up to the Orlando area, you know, that town that's supposed to be near the Orlando, like an old town, I forget the name of it. And there was like an antique store that had this.
Yeah.
Mount Dora.
Yeah, Mount Dora, thank you.
Yeah.
Mount Dora, the place that doesn't have mountains.
I've never been there. I just heard of it.
Must be nice. I've never been there either.
Well, probably a lot of those stores are gone now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I put this in this section because it definitely shows there's more directional light here, leaving this area in a shadow, but yet you still can see detail. So the lighting is really beautiful. I mean, it's a picture of someone else's artwork, but that for this exercise, it's a good example of how you can use the light. Same as Miriam's, it's a picture of someone else's art.
Very difficult to do.
Yes.
The assignment, it was difficult to do.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's the subject, some of it's the lighting that we have available to us to accomplish it.
Adrian, that was a statue in a museum we went to.
Yeah.
Not a picture. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant a picture of a picture. Okay.
No, it's a statue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is at the Miser Museum as
Right.
well.
Correct.
Actually, I thought it was you, Paul.
I was gonna say, I could see the attraction to your subject.
Good.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Light fading off to the back. Usually
Yeah.
one back there, nice with them.
I mean, it's a real classic example of what, what that kind of
Mhm.
lighting does. A very Rembrandt-y looking.
And this spot metering on the glass.
Miriam, that's all your fault.
It's not my picture.
This was your month,
Right.
still life.
Uh-huh.
It's really pretty.
You have to show me how to do that. I think it would be easy.
A shadow in the back.
Yeah.
Like
Same thing, but the same criticism that it's just really, too much right here.
Yeah, it's blown out.
Yeah.
And Irene told me to take the shadow out at the left.
Over here.
Yeah.
It would be like when you need to put the tissue over the diffuser or over the bulb over whatever.
Right. That's when I was doing it. I had a flashlight with a cotton glove over the end.
Yeah.
And if you make it one thickness versus two thicknesses, if you make it closer or if you make it further away, that's how you play with that degree of light at the first place that the light hits.
And if you put the light in too close, you wind up with the light in the picture and then you
Yeah,
wind-
that all of the above.
Does anybody know where you can get cheesecloth that you can use to put over your light bulbs?
I don't know that, but look at this.
Amazon.
This is gorgeous.
Amazon for sure.
I struggle with this, Adrian. I did, and I listened to everything you said about I had to put the tissue over. I had a cube light to get the
Right.
light halfway up and down. I kept turning the globe. I kept putting the things in the back to make them almost disappear, but not quite disappear.
Right.
I was trying to get what you said, which is basically how you look in the back, say there's more back there, but what is it?
Exactly. It's like this falling off. But again, you see how there was metal in here, and see that's what happens.
Yeah.
Like a metallic thing. And they were very clear about trying not to have metallic things in your picture.
Metallic paint on that
Yeah.
vase.
Yeah.
So
But it's just really pretty.
yeah, it was a good exercise.
Yeah. Look at this.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, these are just classic. These last three are just classic of what this does for your photographs. That one and David's picture.
Yeah, that's what.
David's showing off again. That's beautiful,
The
David.
famous teapot.
David's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. What color was the teapot originally?
It's white and black with a red. It's just a straight photo.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I mean, the lighting is just, I mean, you can feel there's like a little defect in the teapot
Yeah,
right here. You can see it and it's just really pretty. And this one is Kit.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great.
That little brim light are just
Yeah.
fab. Awesome.
It's just perfect.
Just awesome.
Okay. That's
Wow.
it.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad we got the PowerPoint to work because we could do that little bit of cropping thing,
Yeah.
which made it a little bit more fun.
You did a
I'm
good job.
impressed that I could do editing in the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yeah, there when I did, for those of you that saw the Israeli thing that I did with Eva, that whole slideshow on Israel, there's a lot of very interesting frames and special effects that you can do in PowerPoint. When you click on the image, you go to format, and these are all frames and shapes, and you can do like that kind of thing,
Cool.
like that.
Yeah.
There's all these little things, and some of them have shadows with them. There's just tons of them.
What program are you in?
PowerPoint.
Oh. I thought
And
you said-
I didn't even open up. There's something here that says remove the background. There's all those filters we talked about. You can recolor it. Maybe that's where the black and white is. Remember when I was looking for black and white before?
Mhm.
But you can't
Saturating.
But you can't save it as a JPEG.
No. But it's just fun things that you can do in PowerPoint.
Cool.
And it let us do that little bit of stuff also. So that's,
So I would say,
Save it in any format? Any particular format?
say again.
Can you save it as any format?
Oh,
Or-
after you've done the PowerPoint, you can save it as a PDF, but this one wouldn't even let me do that, and I don't even know why. But usually you save it as a PDF, and you could take each page out individually if you needed it. And this is an old PowerPoint program, so the new ones probably have way more that you can do. And the goal is to make interesting presentations. So you could do all those things and do graphic designs on each individual slide to make an educational presentation that's good. Okay, thank you, everybody. Don't forget, if you haven't already sent your images to Anne to send them in for the show, I'd love to get this show to be the biggest one we've ever had. It's pretty easy.
Bravo, everybody. Great job.
Okay.
You, Adrian.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Adrian,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.